If you're looking at buying one of Virgin Media's fastest plans, you might be wondering whether their Hub 5 router is any good. In this video, we've reviewed the Virgin Media Hub 5 to see how it performs in the real world. But before we begin, make sure to click the link in the description to the Virgin Media website to see what deals they're offering at the moment and to see whether their plans that come with the Hub 5, like Gig1, offer good value for money. If you do it yourself, setting up the Hub 5 is pretty easy. You'll need to unscrew the coaxial cable from your old hub and then screw it into the new one. There's a spanner that comes with the hub when you buy it that's the right size to twist the connector on the cable. Then you just need to plug the hub into power using the included power brick. For us, it took about 3 minutes from this point for the new hub to set itself up and create a Wi-Fi hotspot we could connect to. The Wi-Fi login details are printed on the bottom of the router, and there's also a WPS button to help you get online more quickly. It's also worth mentioning, if you're switching to Virgin Media for the first time, they'll probably need to send an engineer out to get you set up. And in this case, the technician will set up your Hub 5 for you, so you don't have to worry about this. But if you're an existing Virgin Media customer, and you don't want to pay for a technician visit, getting set up with the Hub 5 is pretty easy. So like most other Virgin Media routers, the Hub 5 is pretty locked down, so if you want to go in and customize a lot of stuff, you might find that this is difficult depending on what you want to do. For example, the router defaults to Virgin Media DNS, and you can't change this. DNS is the main thing we wanted to change, but we couldn't do that, and other people have had issues doing things like setting up modem mode or changing DHCP settings. In saying this, the admin portal is quite intuitive, and it's good that you can control most things in this interface, rather than having to download a mobile app, which you currently have to do on most of EE Broadband's routers, as well as with some other providers. In saying that though, you do have to log into your Virgin Media account to change certain things, like parental controls for instance, but it's good that you don't have to download a mobile app to do this, if you don't want to. So if you're changing from another Virgin Media router, don't expect much of an upgrade in terms of things you can change with the Hub 5. And if you're not sure whether you're buying Virgin Media Broadband, we'd recommend something like the Vodafone Ultra Hub if you want more customization. With this router for example, you can change the DNS that the router is using, which is nice to see. Click the links in the description to the Virgin Media and Vodafone websites to see which offers better value for money when you're considering buying. The Wi-Fi coverage on offer from the Virgin Media Hub 5 is probably the best thing about this router. It comes with Wi-Fi 6, which is a much more modern standard than the Wi-Fi 5 you get with the Hub 3 and Hub 4, although it's not quite as good as the Wi-Fi 6E you get with Vodafone's router, or the Wi-Fi 7 you get with the EE Smart Hub Pro. Still, for most devices, Wi-Fi 6 is great, and it offers really good coverage for us, even in a fairly large house. For anything up to and including 4 bedrooms, unless it's a really strange shaped house, or you have 3 levels like a loft conversion or something like that, the Hub 5 performs really well when it comes to Wi-Fi signal. It's very consistent for us in all rooms of the house. The one thing we can criticize Virgin Media for though, is at the moment, they're only shipping this router on their fastest plan, which in most areas is their Gig1 plan, but you can get 2 gigabits in some places as well. We just think it would be better if they shipped the Hub 5 on these other plans as well, because with Vodafone for example, even if you choose 73 megabits, you can then get this Pro 2 plan, which comes with their Ultra Hub Wi-Fi 6E router, as well as a signal booster. And with EE Broadband, no matter which plan you choose, you get their Smart Hub Plus router, which comes with Wi-Fi 6, and from our testing, it offers pretty similar Wi-Fi coverage compared to the Virgin Media Hub 5. So really, we have no criticism of the Hub 5's Wi-Fi performance. We just wish it was more widely available to all Virgin Media customers, because at the moment, this Hub 3 router just really isn't up to modern standard when it comes to Wi-Fi. Our speeds are really consistent with the Virgin Media Hub 5. We generally get at least 900 megabit per second download speed in all rooms of the house, on Wi-Fi 6 compatible devices. Really, the speeds on offer are quite impressive, especially at longer distance. They only begin to drop off towards 300 to 500 megabits per second at the furthest points from the router, but for us, this is plenty of speed, and we can use Ethernet with this router on devices where we always need the 4000 megabits. There's a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port on the back of the router, helping you get the maximum speed, even if you're on Virgin Media's fastest 2 gigabit plan. From a speed point of view, The one criticism of this router is you probably won't get the maximum speed over Wi-Fi if you're on Virgin Media's 2 gigabit plan. In the real world, Wi-Fi 6 is limited to about a 900 megabit download speed. This is about the maximum we see on the 1 gigabit plan. So if you're on the 2 gigabit deal, you'll only get about half your maximum download speed over Wi-Fi, and you only get one 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port to take advantage of the maximum speed. If you want to get online on multiple devices, or over Wi-Fi, with a speed of more than 1 gigabit per second, EE and their Smart Hub Pro router are a better choice. This router comes with Wi-Fi 7, offering much faster download speeds, as long as you have Wi-Fi 7 compatible devices, allowing you to get more out of the speed you're paying for. Remember, click the links in the description to the Virgin Media and EE websites to see what speeds you can get with both providers, and to see which offers better value for money when you're considering buying. So this router offers good Wi-Fi coverage and pretty fast speeds. But does Virgin Media, on the whole, offer good value for money, given the performance of this router and the monthly costs they're charging? So for most people, you'll want to buy Virgin Media Gig1 to get this router. As we mentioned before, you can get it on their 2 gigabit plan, but this package is quite rare at the moment. It might be out by the time you're watching this though, so make sure to click the link in the description and put in your postcode up here on the Virgin Media website to see what deals you can get. So at the moment, this gigabit plan with the Hub 5 is £40 a month, with no upfront fee. With Vodafone Broadband, you can get a slightly slower plan for a slightly higher monthly cost, with a sort of similar Wi-Fi 6 router, but you can get a bit of a discount on this as a Vodafone Pay Monthly mobile customer, making it about the same price. And you can also choose to pay a bit more for Vodafone Pro 2 Broadband to get their Ultra Hub router with Wi-Fi 6E, as well as a Wi-Fi signal booster included, although this is quite expensive. EE Broadband is also a bit more expensive. Their slower 900 megabit plan is about £8 per month more expensive, and their fastest deal has a considerably higher monthly cost. Although in return for this, you get EE's Smart Hub Pro router with Wi-Fi 7, offering much better speeds and signal, and allowing you to get speeds of more than a gigabit per second on a more consistent basis. So ultimately, compared to the competition, Virgin Media does offer good value for money, especially on their gigabit plan with their Hub 5 router. So all in all, should you buy Virgin Media Broadband? We think they're worth considering, but there's a few significant downsides to this provider. The first is they hike your price mid-contract, which a lot of other providers do, but these price rises can be a bit higher with Virgin Media. And then once the contract ends, your monthly cost almost doubles, which again does happen with other providers, but this price rise is normally a bit higher with Virgin Media. The other big downside is how locked down the router is, especially if you want to do things like change the DNS service you're using, but this isn't a problem for most people. So ultimately, what we recommend doing is coming to the Virgin Media website and then comparing their deals to a few other providers to see which offers the best value when you're buying. We like the look of EE and Vodafone at the moment, just because their routers are probably the best two of any UK broadband provider at the moment. Like, you can buy a better router, but these ones from Vodafone and EE are the best routers included for free from a provider at the moment. If you have a large house and need gigabit speeds on a consistent basis, it might be worth paying more for EE Broadband, or maybe Vodafone, compared to Virgin Media, just because their routers perform better than the Hub 5. But if you want to save money, Virgin Media is really good value. Just make sure to set a reminder for when the contract ends, so you can recommit and don't have to pay £80 a month when the deal expires. And we also thought we'd mention, we don't recommend buying Virgin Media's 2 gigabit plan if they're still shipping this router with it, just because Wi-Fi 6 isn't really capable of getting the full speeds out of the connection, and you only get one 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port, meaning you're only able to get the speeds you're paying for on one device at a time over Ethernet. If you want these sorts of speeds, EE is a much better choice. So make sure to click the links in the description to the Virgin Media, Vodafone, and EE Broadband websites to compare their deals and see which is the best choice when you're watching this. And if you have any questions about the Hub 5, or want to tell us about what your experience has been like with this router, leave a comment below and we'll respond as soon as we can if you need help.